So everybody's been asking me how this motorcycle accident happened, and it's kind of hard to type it out over and over again with just my left hand. So I figured I'd create a video. So I had just ridden for 28 days, 5,000 miles, all the way from Los Angeles Bay, or the Pacific Bay Area, to Wilmington, North Carolina on the Atlantic Ocean. And I was just turning around to head home. And I crossed North Carolina, started into Virginia, and then started going up this windy road in the Appalachian Mountains. And I was really excited because it's the first windy road in 3,000 miles, and motorcycles love windy roads. The speed limit was like 55 miles per hour. I was going between 50 and 55. So I was being really careful to obey the speed limit, be careful. I was really focused on the road that I was on. I was going up this mountain, and I came to this turn, and pretty early in the turn I realized, uh-oh, I don't know if I'm going to make this. And I was like, I have to turn really sharp. And so I just, leaned that bike over as far as I could get it, and like I had the footboard, the running board, like dragging on the ground. It was probably throwing up sparks. And I was turning that bike farther than I've ever turned that bike, but it's a, big old huge Harley Fat Boy. And it's not the most maneuverable bike in the world. And I just kind of watched as my tires drifted closer and closer to the shoulder, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to go off there. And it had been raining earlier that day, and the road was dry, but the shoulder was still kind of muddy. So as soon as my tires hit that shoulder, my bike was just like, peace out. And I was like, see you later, bike, I'm going to go this way. And so my bike went into the ditch, and I flew straight, kind of parallel to the road. And then there's like a split second where I was flying through the air that I don't remember. And then the next thing I remember is watching grass slide by in front of my visor. And I remember thinking, I'm really glad I'm wearing a full face helmet, because if not, this would really suck. And I was like, your eyes are right here, and the grass is right here. And you're just like, huh, that's good to have. And then I slid to a stop. Actually, I had like enough time to think that whole thought out. And then I slid to a stop, and there's that moment of adrenaline where you can't feel any pain. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna take stock of my injuries, see if anything's hurt, like see if I'm bleeding anywhere. And I was like, my shoulder feels kind of tight. I hope I didn't break my collarbone. I was like, all right, it doesn't hurt. Then the adrenaline went away. I was like, I don't feel any pain. And I was like, all right, that's cool. I'm not hurt. Like, I don't have any injuries. So I jumped up, and I started walking around, and I went over to the bike, and I was like, I hope the bike's in as good a condition as I am. Like, this is pretty awesome. I walked away from a motorcycle accident without any injuries. Turned off the ignition, and then started looking at the bike, and I was like, oh man, totally wrecked my dad's bike. Like, what am I gonna do? And then I realized, I was like, wait, why can't I lift my right arm? And then I reached over, and I could feel this like bony lump here under my skin, and I was like, oh no, that's not the way it's supposed to be. And so I just sat down on my knees right there, and then waited like a minute or two, and then the next car came, and I waved them over, and they stopped, and they called 911, and the police came, and then the ambulance came, and I got up and put myself on the gurney, and then they put me in the ambulance and took me to the hospital. And I got to the hospital about 9 o'clock in the evening. They did x-rays and everything and let me out. I stayed in a hotel for a night, and then went home the next day on a plane, and then ended up in LA Saturday night. Slept in my own bed. And I'm really glad I had all my gear on. Like, I actually got off pretty well. Like, I broke collarbone, but I don't have a scratch on me. I had like a little bruise on my hand and a little bruise on my thigh that were like really nothing. Even my camera survived, so that's pretty good. It was in my pocket dragging along the ground, but riding leathers, they do a good job. So I'm probably going to be wearing a full face helmet for the rest of my life on a motorcycle. Right now the bike is in a Harley-Davidson dealership in Virginia. We're going to have them fix it up over there because we figured it would be cheaper than California. So that was my motorcycle accident adventure.